Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lisa and you're watching Growing on Vancouver Island. My supervisor saw that I was filming and started his little performance early before I could even turn the camera on. He's trying to eat my potatoes. He's trying to eat my tomatoes right now. He used to love eating cherry tomatoes, and we used to call it his beach body diet when he ate the cherry tomatoes. I don't think he's gotten any, but he's trying really hard. I didn't realize that our tomatoes were even ripe yet. We haven't picked any, but he is trying so hard to eat tomatoes right now. I wonder if he's actually getting any, because I'm not so sure he is, but holy shit. He just picked the first tomato of the zipper. Were you just trying to tell me they were ripe? That was a very good observation. You're not going to eat that, are you? You don't eat big beefsteak tomatoes. Since when do you eat beefsteak tomatoes, mister? Apparently since today he eats them. In his whole life, he has never eaten a beefsteak tomato. He will eat the baby cherry tomatoes in the handfuls, but this is the first time he has ever picked or attempted to eat a beefsteak tomato. I'm a little sad, but not super sad, because I actually grew these tomatoes for a family member and not so much for myself, so it's a little disheartening, but he's enjoying himself, and I guess that's what's important. He gets as much from the garden as I do, so I will let him appreciate his freshly harvested beefsteak tomato, the first one of the 2022 season. It looks like he's getting quite a good It looks like he's having quite a good time eating this little tomato, which isn't so little. He is just going at it. I did not expect to start our tour this way. This was completely unplanned. I thought we were just going to take our thumbnail picture first, and then I saw he was investigating my tomato plant, so I decided we should start our tour. And this is what ended up happening. I really hope he finishes it, because at least it won't be wasted then. I think he's trying to tell me he wants his beach body back, but really he does not need to lose weight. He's on the thinner side of the spectrum, and he's an older man. He's 8.5 years old, almost 9. And he needs more calories. He does not need less calories. So I don't mind too much that he is eating his tomato snack. So back to the garden tour. I don't really remember exactly where we left off. I think we didn't really get started. He just stole the spotlight before I could start the garden tour. So let's take a look at what's going on in the vegetable garden right now. Here we have some green tomatoes, and we've got another red one, which I am going to pick because I'm pretty sure my supervisor is going to pick it if I don't, given what he just did. We'll put that away for future reference. And here we have one of my squash plants, and I'm super excited to share that I have a few squash. This growing season has been absolutely terrible in so many ways, but there are still little surprises and little things growing that I wasn't really expecting to do very well, because the whole season has kind of been disastrous. So I'm super excited that I actually do have some squash growing. I can't remember what variety this is, but a lot of my plant tags have worn off. So it's going to be a surprise. I'm thinking it is either honey nut or probably a honey nut squash. Could be acorn squash, but I'm pretty sure it's a honey nut squash. So that's super exciting. And this squash plant goes through most of the garden, although I think there's a couple squash plants in here. And there's a couple more green tomatoes. And a few more green tomatoes at the back. Oh boy, I didn't realize there is a little cucumber growing in here. That's very fun. I did plant that, but nothing has matured yet. Here we have one of the ginormous squash plants that goes all the way through the garden. And it looks like I have some more, I think these are my fall gold raspberries. I'm going to eat one actually. I haven't had many this season actually. Let's see how it tastes. Oh gosh, it's very good. Almost overripe, but it's pretty much perfect. So sweet and juicy. Very, very good. I definitely have more berries to pick and enjoy before the man over here discovers that there's more ripe raspberries. I definitely need to do some harvesting because he often finds these things before I do. And here is my poor kale plant. It still has a ton of harvestable leaves on it, but I really need to clean it up. I've been really slowly cleaning up the garden, and the vegetable garden in particular, but the garden itself, and it's just a lot of work when you have a fairly big space to clean up. So I've got debris over here, and I have been slowly making my way around, but it's going to take a while. But once the kale is cleaned up, it will definitely produce a lot more usable leaves. It will probably overwinter just fine. Sometimes it does. So it's going to stay right where it is all winter. And here we are on the far side of the vegetable garden now. And this is another squash plant we've got going on here. I believe it's a different plant coming from the other side. And look here, this is super exciting. This is the biggest squash I have. I wish I remembered the variety. I watched my old video. I'm still not 100% sure. Like, it might be a butternut squash. And if it is, I'm gonna have to research when I should harvest it, because this is my first time actually growing butternut squash, or it could be honey nut squash. One of those. I don't actually know when the best time to harvest it is. It's looking good, but I'm not sure that it's ripe. So I might want to leave it a little bit longer still. And coming into the vegetable garden, we have more exciting developments. Here we have what I think is a spaghetti squash. I have grown spaghetti squash before, and it looks very much like it. I did have some this year. The shape is a little bit different this year than previous years. It used to be more oval, and now it's got more of a squarish, rectangular shape. So I could probably pick it, but I'm probably gonna leave it a little bit longer and just see how big and mature it can get. And beside it, oh my gosh, I hope this is what I think it is. I think this is a pumpkin. And don't tell this guy because he loves pumpkin, but I've been trying to grow a pumpkin for the last 8 years unsuccessfully. Like, I haven't even been able to get fruit on the vine. Usually my vines die before there's any fruit on them. So if this is actually a pumpkin, I am so excited, like over the moon excited, because I haven't been able to grow a pumpkin, and I love pumpkins. Both the taste of pumpkins and I love decorating with pumpkins. So I cannot believe I just found that. I'm so excited that I got to share it with you, finding it, because who else would I want to share such an exciting development with? And here is definitely the most colorful and cheerful part of my garden right now, a sunflower. The sunflower is a multi-stemmed sunflower and just keeps producing more flowers. It's so pretty. I'm so glad I grew multi-stem varieties this year, and it just brings me so much joy. Every time I see this pop of color, I just feel happy. It's so lovely. And you can tell in the distance, my supervisor is keeping track of who is going by and letting me know if he doesn't approve of what's going on down the street. I also spotted this beet while I was in here, and I think this is one of the bigger beets that I will harvest. I decided I'm not going to harvest it today. I'm going to give it some more time, but I'm super excited. If you remember my beet harvesting video, you'll remember most of my beets were pretty small. So this is so fun that this is actually a pretty good sized beet. And here I just spotted some cherry tomatoes that are ripe. That is super exciting. I honestly don't like cherry tomatoes, and I grew these 100% for my garden supervisor. I did not expect that he was going to eat my beefsteak tomatoes, which I grew a little bit for me and a little bit for my family members. So he kind of just took the wrong vegetable for his harvest, but that's okay. He will have a fantastic beach body this year now that swimming season is almost finished. So that's going to be all for today's video. If you enjoy garden tours, golden retrievers, fairy gardens, you may want to consider subscribing to this channel for some more garden adventures. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Have a good evening.